Facebook, on LinkedIn, on YouTube, on Instagram. This is Tara-Nicholle Kirk. I am coming to you. I'm trying some new things. I am trying some new things with the cameras and the things and the technologies and things. So bear with me for the next few days. It will likely not be perfect, but it will be great. So welcome to your soul tour, beloved. I will be your guide. I am a metaphysician, a master self-actualization coach. I'm the founder and CEO of Soul Tour, where I run a school of self-mastery and teach you the self-mastery, my self-mastery method, which empowers you to be your big self and do your big dreams before you die. So as some of you know, I've started to share with you, I have an event, my first big live event coming up in October. I'll tell you more about it later. But the event is called Upgrade. Upgrade your money and your life. And just to be clear, this event, my work in general, is not really for someone who's like downtrodden and super, super depressed, dejected mode. We've all been there. We've all had those dark nights of the soul, but this is not that kind of an upgrade, all right? This is the kind of upgrade that's available to someone only after they've been through some shit, after they've done some shadow work. This ain't for the 30-year-olds, y'all. This is for the 40, 45, 50, 60-year-olds, all right, who are no longer aren't afraid of the shadow work, but also are not addicted to living in the shadows. All right. So this event and this body of work I'm calling Upgrade is all about helping you dream a bigger, better dream and just step into it, but not from a place of you're down and needing to be lifted up, from a place of I've done some personal growth work already. I've already been through therapy. I've had some coaching. I've done some stuff, and I'm ready to dream the bigger dream. I'm ready to expand. I'm ready for that energy. So one thing you got to know about upgrade season is that upgrade season, when you do it the way I teach it through the self-mastery method, for us, you are one of us. Upgrade season is always plot twist season. Please catch this principle. Upgrade season is always plot twist season, because part of what you're upgrading is your ability to imagine. This is an upgrade not just of your energy. We'll upgrade your energy. It's an upgrade not just of your beliefs. We will upgrade your beliefs, but it's an upgrade of the dream itself. We're upgrading your ability to imagine. Right? So when you sat down and set those SMART goals and wrote out that 25-step, 25-year action plan for your life, envisioning what it would look like back then when you were maybe you still had unprocessed trauma, you still had lower expectations, you were still under the influence of the lies of this culture, which teach that fear and scarcity and unworthiness and trauma are actually totally normal, and that's just how life goes. The goals you set then, the action plan you set then, that's not the big dream action plan. That's not the divine genius plan for your life. So when you start to really step into your big self, and when you start to really step into your upgrade season, there's always gonna be a bunch of plot twists, all right? And so you got a part of self-mastery is learning to be really, really comfortable with those plot twists, even though they are often very, very uncomfortable, even though sometimes they feel like loss before they feel like alignment. All right. So today I just wanted to tell you actually a story from my own recent life. As some of you know, I took a little over a year and a half almost off from live teaching because of this story I'm now going to tell you, which I'll call misdiagnosis. Misdiagnosis. So yes, I started this with I'm a self-actualization coach, a metaphysician, the founder and CEO of Soul Tour. I've written 3 books, all those things. But you might not remember about me that I'm also a lawyer. I'm also a lawyer. I was a lawyer 175 years ago. And while it would seem like that is really disconnected from the work that I do now, it is really connected, because the work that I do now is to flow the laws of the universe. All right. So this story I'm telling you today, misdiagnosis, is all about some of the laws of the universe and the corollaries to those laws. All right. This is a story about the law of divine order and timing. It's a story about the law of divine order, which basically asks you to remember at all times that there are forces and powers higher and bigger than you that are benevolent to you, limitless love, infinite intelligence, the creative power that formed all worlds. And those forces are assisting you at all times. They are lighting up the natural next step for you to take to come into the sacred contracts, the sacred callings, the sacred destinies for greatness for your life. However, divine order is neither logical nor linear. So if you truly want to step into the big divine genius plan for your life, that plan is those next steps are probably not going to seem logical or linear at that moment in time. So as a corollary to the law of divine order, you got to be willing sometimes to exercise what we call in the school total trust. Total trust. And just take the natural next step that lights up before you that day without trying to overthink or overplan your whole life out, right? Because when you do that, when you become able to trust and just take the natural next steps, you start to create this, you start to participate in this divine feedback loop that teaches you the law of divine timing, right? So the law of divine timing says that divine timing is real. It is always in your favor. That means that you can be accelerated. Divine timing can accelerate you from A to B to C to G to Z. And it also means that divine timing can and will blessedly slow your ass down, right? You will get universal green lights and you will get universal orange lights or even red lights sometimes when there is preparation that needs to be done within you or around you. Divine timing will slow you down so that divine order can line up other people, other readinesses in the universe for who you are and what you're bringing to the world. All right. So the law of divine timing suggests that even your delays will benefit you. All right. And one of the other laws that we teach in the school is the law of pronoia, which just is the simplest way to think about it is the idea that everything is always working out for you. Even the things that feel really unwanted are doing their work within you or within this universe to work out for you ultimately in your favor, right? So you have to know to understand and practice these laws. And I know, and I'm blessed to have practiced them for a long time, that there is a divine genius plan for your life and that it unfolds through you following your intuition. All right. So for years, I've been declaring and affirming in myself and over my students and in our school that we give thanks. I wake up in the morning, we give thanks to the divine genius plan for our lives now comes to pass over calm seas, under grace and in perfect, surprising, delightful, wonderful ways. Like I've been saying that for years. I've been saying, I desire all that is mine and only that which is mine through divine right, right? And I know these laws and I trust these laws and I practice these laws and I know they unfold through following intuition. And I know that that the law of the universe says that sometimes you will follow the natural next step into a desire that you had with you intending to come for one thing and you will leave with another bigger, better thing. All right. So that's the context. That's the basis. The big picture lesson I want you to take away is do not be afraid of the plot twists. All right. If you want an upgrade in your life, in your money, in your whatever, don't be afraid of the plot twists. All right. So let me tell you this story. Misdiagnosis. So some of you know this, some of you do not, but I have a complex medical condition that I have been dealing with for basically 20 years. All right. I have only known the diagnosis of that condition since the beginning of this year, 2022. So for years, I was that person who was like the healthiest person you knew, working out all the time, taking all the supplements, doing all the things, who had all these freaking random health problems. I had this problem in my jaw. I had this problem in my bones. I had some problems in my gut. I had problems in my eyes. I had all these problems in my feet. The first time I had a major foot fracture that I was aware of that seemed really off was in 2010. I rolled my foot in a little pothole in San Francisco. And when I pulled my foot up, it was wavy. Like the bones were wavy. Like the workers on the street were like, oh my gosh, what just happened to this person? And I was like, I don't even know what just happened. That was 2010. Cut to last year. By 2021, I'd had 13 fractures in my feet over that period of time. And I, of course, would go to the doctors. I would go to the foot doctors. I would go to the bone doctors. I would go to the rheumatologist. I would go to all of the ists. And I would get freaking gaslighted. They would say, I don't know, you're working out too much. You should work out a little less. Or so it would either be on that extreme or it would be on the other extreme where I have had some diagnoses in my time, y'all. Last year, I had some diagnoses that made me go out and buy life insurance. I was like, what is happening? And they would send me to these specialists. And, one of my teammates the other day was saying, gosh, Tara, you really have the gift of knowing. I do have the gift of knowing. I do have a very strong, whatever you want to call it, clairvoyance, sense of knowing. I would get sent to these specialists and I would just be in the waiting room looking at the other people in the waiting room. And I would go, I don't have what these people have. Something is wrong. They don't know what it is, but it's not what they have. It's not what these people have. Excuse me. So last year, things came to a head. I had a bunch of tendons in my feet that were, I had been having foot fractures, but I had a bunch of tendons in my feet that were beginning to tear, literally tear. Last year in 2021, I was in a walking boot on one foot or the other for 18 weeks. I was at a place where I went to my main foot doctor, and she said, let me just tell you what's going to happen. There's nothing we can do about this. Your ankles are going to collapse. She said, like those older women you would see at church with the really, really, really big ankles. She's like, your ankles are going to collapse. It's going to be like that. And I was like, I just do not receive this. I reject that. I reject that. My body is my best friend. I don't believe that you're even aware of all the things. Medicine has advanced, lady. You know what I mean? I'm like, I don't even believe that you're aware of all the things that medicine can do. And so as I've always done, for years, I had given myself supplements and dosed myself, which I'll tell you, did become a double-edged sword. I had kept myself looking and feeling by my own efforts and by the grace of God and by my declarations and affirmations, my body is my best friend. I'd kept myself well enough that people didn't really take me seriously. Medical people did not really take me seriously when I would say, share all of these issues that I was having. So finally, I just continued to take it on myself to get well. So I literally asked myself the question, what would Kobe Bryant do in this situation? What medicine is available in the world? Not through my insurance company, not through my HMO, not through that doctor. What is available to me? All right. And it sent me down this path where I thought, I found out about stem cell therapies. At the same time, I was in the process of beginning to take scouting trips to other places in the world that I might want to live. So I went to Mexico seeking some stem cell therapy. The first place I went was like, we can't, your tendons are actually too bad. They're too inflamed and too torn right now to even do stem cell therapy. I mean, you guys, it was bad. I would literally be put on 6 weeks at a time of foot rest, and I would come back and there would be new stress fractures after a foot rest. Okay. But those at the first clinic I went to in Mexico, were able to treat me with the treatment that brought the inflammation down some. And that was in Baja. Then my just scouting trips to find another place. And again, this is me just following the divine genius plan, following the natural next step, not letting the fact that I was unwell at the time stop me from exploring what I felt called and led through intuition to explore. My next trip was to Mérida in the Yucatan. I went to Mérida, met up with my friend Cindy Canto. Hey, Cindy, if you happen to be watching this. Cindy is third generation, I think, Meridaño. She is a real estate developer and salesperson, and she does real estate projects in Yucatan, in Austin. I feel like maybe one more place, but lots of places. Tulum. So I go meet with Cindy this day to see houses in Merida. She picks me up. We pull out of the parking lot. I go to close the gate. It's this 1800s big wrought iron gate. The gate rolls over my foot. The gate rolls over my foot, breaking my foot. Okay. Now, I'm like, all right. I actually watched the gate move my foot in a way that my foot should not move. But remember, that was actually my 13th foot fracture in 10 years. So I'm like, you know what? They can't do anything about it anyway. I hop in the car. Cindy and I go out we go out and we start house hunting. She brings me back to my house that evening, and I'm like, okay, so now my nanny's leaving. I've got the baby. I'm in Merida by myself. My foot is actually broken. I should probably go to the hospital and figure this out before my nanny leaves. So I get an Uber to take me out to Faro Hospital in Merida in the north. And this is where the diagnosis begins. Through plot twists that I had no idea this is what would happen. So I have this traumatic fracture in my foot. I go to the emergency room in Merida, Yucatan. I meet all the sexy doctors in Yucatan somehow. That's just a side note. We ain't got to be deep all the time. And they call this orthopedic surgeon to come look at my foot because I have this other condition, right? So he comes and looks and he's like, all right, tell me. So he's like, I need you to take these things right now. Like, we do MRIs, we do X-rays, we do all this stuff. He's like, take these things now. They'll help the inflammation come down. We'll deal with more of it tomorrow. But tell me what your other condition is. Tell me what you were doing in Baja. Tell me about these other orthopedic issues you have. So I tell him everything. I'm trying to get stem cell. The doctor's like, let me tell you something. You do not need stem cell therapy for what you have. You do need PRP, platelet-rich plasma. You can get that in the United States. You should go get that. I'm like, all right, bet. So I get the baby, come home the next day, find a doctor 15 minutes from my house who can do PRP. Go meet with her. She's like, you are a very good candidate for PRP. It will likely help your tendons regenerate, essentially, which it did, by the way. So I'm good now. But multiple things happened actually in that process. She says, I need new MRIs in these spots. You should go get them. And she tells me about her own experience of medical. She tells me about her own experience of having had, and she's like, I don't know why I'm telling you this. I just feel like I should tell you this. She starts to tell me that my doctor starts to tell me that she had been dealing with clinical depression and that she had medical IV ketamine for the depression and that it has totally changed her life and her practice. And she's like back in her life now. That becomes relevant for some of the other plot twists I'm going to tell you later. I ended up having medical ketamine myself for PTSD, which transformed my nervous system in ways that we all get to benefit from today. So the other thing that happened that day is she says, I'm going to need these MRIs. So you can either go down there and get it, or you can try to get it from your regular healthcare provider. I'm like, I've spent tens of thousands of dollars this year on private healthcare. The one thing that my HMO can do is give me MRIs. So I go back to my regular doctor. I insist that they get my MRIs done so that I can have the platelet-rich plasma treatments done for my tendons in my feet. They do the MRIs on my feet, and they message me back, we are so sorry. These MRIs show that you probably have this other medical condition, and we're looking at your records, and you've probably had it since you've been dealing with the symptoms of it since 2007. You probably had it 4 or 5 years before that. All right. So What I've just told you is how I came to actually be diagnosed. I came from this place of me reading the Louise Hay chart, trying to figure out what metaphors there are spiritually for the symptoms I have, doing affirmations, being like, I move forward in life freely and easily because I'm thinking there's a spiritual root to my medical problems, which there are. But not just spiritual. I actually had this complex medical condition. It is called non-radiographic axial spondyloarthritis. It is an inflammation, an autoinflammation of your spine. Your spine is the central operating system of your body. So if you have an intense inflammation in your spine, it can cause problems. I mean, the first time I got my diagnosis and looked at the National Association for People Who Have This, their homepage is like it is the laundry list of all of the medical problems I had over the last 20 years, right? And it's super freaking treatable. It's super freaking treatable. It's kind of intense. It's a super expensive medication and you have to inject it a couple times a month, but it's super treatable, you guys. Like, not even just with that. So I made some changes to my diet. I made some, I take this medication and like I am back in that freaking game, right? And so it's only because I had all these different spiritual strategies and spiritual laws that came into play that allowed me to get this diagnosis. All right. And there were all these spiritual lessons and practical lessons about how to live my life and get deeper and deeper into alignment with my own unique design, the divine design for my life, my human design that I learned along the way. Like, I'm a contrarian. I always have been, and it served me super well in these 20 years of misdiagnosis, right? For 20 years, they told me I was working out too much. Now they're telling me motion is lotion. Make sure you keep working out. I'm like, great. The only reason I'm in this good shape, the only reason my spine hasn't fused together is because I do not do what you guys tell me to do, right? I learned the lesson of slowness, of gradualness. These are lessons that would become really clear the life lessons of a projector. The life lessons of most of the human design types are actually designed to wait. Some are designed, the projector design type is designed to wait the most. All right. So, I mean, there were times last year when I could not physically work as much the way I used to work. I used to work 60 hours a week. I can work actually about 20, 25 hours a week. All right. And in that time, I just leaned into that. I was like, you know what? I went from everybody else does, one day with no meetings a week. I do 1 day a week of meetings. All right. I delegate 80% of the work that comes into me or that is front of mind or needs to get done in my business. All right. So I had to learn how to get help and then how to get more help and then how to get more help. I'll never forget after I had my, plasma treatments, I literally could not walk for like 10 days. And I have 30 steps to my front door and I have a 4-year-old. I had to really get help. I had to reach out to my friends and be like, I have this child that I have to get up these stairs every day. Who can take her to school? Who can pick her up from school? Who can help make sure we're fed? You know what I mean? And people did it. I had to learn how to expand my capacity to do things without personally, physically do things. I came to learn that living against your design, I believe that the spiritual roots of this particular condition are not, it's not about, just an affirmation that you can say to make yourself feel better. It's actually about understanding what your unique design is and where you're living against it, because living against your design is inherently inflammatory. All right. That's one of the things that I love about spiritual strategy, which is kind of my tool, my personal proprietary toolkit for stepping into self-mastery, is that yes, we care a lot about the bodies of work from which spiritual strategy are drawn include spiritual law, psychology, and also neurobiology. All right. doing the work every day to downregulate your nervous system, so you can actually get those downloads of, okay, divine order, what infinite spirit, show me the way, give me a definite lead, what is a natural next step I'm supposed to take, and follow that, right? Following the thread and going to have medical ketamine for unprocessed trauma to process it out, right? Knowing that that is part and parcel of your sacred contracts. I learned the lesson that making it look too easy is that it's a double-edged sword. It's foolhardy. Don't make it look easy. Because when you make all the mighty plates you're spinning to direct the universe look too easy, you block yourself. It's like you're broadcasting a moat around you that keeps help out, right? I have had to learn to say when I'm in pain, or when something does not feel right in my body, right? So don't make it look easy. What our intention is to do in spiritual strategy is to let it be easy. Look for the path of least resistance. But if you're in a resistant moment, there's no extra credit in heaven for making things look easy. All right. One of the other things I've learned is that the plot twist, so like I said, part of why I'm telling some of these stories this week of things that actually have happened in my real life, the big old plot twists that have happened in the last couple of years, are that plot twists, there's a lot of fear of the plot twist among smart, successful people. And the truth is that these plot twists are often or always actually milestones or mile markers of spiritual progress that is being made toward the big dreams that your inner being knows are your destiny, but you may not even consciously know are your dream yet. Okay. So I know somebody's out there, and you're like, gosh, they broke up with me. They asked me for a divorce. I had this medical diagnosis. I call these things spiritual alarm clocks. Your spiritual alarm clocks are ringing. And if you can muster up the courage, the heart to answer them, and to just keep taking the natural next step, often those plot twists are actually pulling you toward a bigger, more delectable dream and destiny than you even know consciously is your actual dream. Your inner being knows. Your wise inner being knows that what your biggest, most delicious dreams are, what your destiny is. But you may not consciously have given yourself permission to dream that delicious of a dream yet. So see, for example, I thought I just wanted to make a move to another country, right? I thought I just wanted to move to Mexico. That's what I thought. And instead what happened was I came away from this experience with radiant health and well-being like I had certainly not known in the last 20 years of my life. I came away from this experience of I thought I was going to go look at houses in the Yucatan, and I came away with incredible alignment with my own human design, right? And that's the actual big dream. That was the upgraded dream that I didn't even know I was dreaming. That's the desire I hadn't even given myself permission to desire yet. All right. So know that when you experience crisis, when it feels like your spiritual alarm clock is ringing, that is always a portal to something. So you can always, especially, the older you get, the more shit you've been through and the more trust you can have that you'll get through it. Start to look at your crises when they show up as a portal. It's a portal for you to disrupt the story you've been living. Right? It's a portal for an upgrade. But you don't always have to wait for your spiritual alarm clocks to ring to experience the upgrade. You don't have to wait for your spiritual alarm clocks to ring to make skillful and playful and masterful progress into your big self or your big dreams. All right? So that's the idea of the upgrade event. At Upgrade Your Money and Your Life, we're not waiting for crisis to happen. All right. This is about triggering, dreaming the bigger dream, licking the plate of life, and learning, getting a new toolkit to make skillful, getting a new toolkit, new energy, new beliefs, new appreciation and understanding for your own freaking magic. All right. So that you can make skillful and playful and masterful progress into being your big self and doing your big dreams before you die. All right, so I'm going to drop the early bird registration link everywhere. So wherever you're watching this, you'll see that link. I will, let's see, I think that's it. Let me check chat really quick. All right. Hey, Deanna's here saying yes for diagnosis. Oh my gosh, yes for a diagnosis and for treatment and for well-being. All of those things, Deanna, that we were affirming years ago, as they always do, have come to pass under grace, over calm seas and imperfect ways. Hey, Barika, good to see you. Yeah, guys, I hope to see actually both of y'all. I should be seeing at Upgrade. Right. And then let's see, Rosita Jones on Instagram is saying, love the word playful here. It's important. Okay. You just, out of all them words I just said, Rosita just picked out one that's actually super important. You guys, this is a game. Life is a game. It's actually supposed to be playful. It's supposed to be fun. That's what we're supposed to be learning, is how to play the game of life. All right. And I know it doesn't always feel like the game because trauma is real. Darkness is real. Shadows are real. But let's see. I am this week just going to tell a bunch of my plot twist stories. And maybe along the way, I'll tell a little more in detail about the revelations, the epiphanies that I had during my experience with medical ketamine being treated for PTSD. I like to tell these stories because, I did 25 years of talk therapy before that experience. And one of the things that was overwhelming that I came away from was like, this is a game we're here to play. This is a game we're here to play. All right. So yeah, playful is super important. It's not all hard grind effort. That's one way to live. That's one way to live. And even those of us who've had, all the traumas and all the things can still have play. It can still be light and feel light and be delicious. We can get good at the game. All right. All right. So it's great to see you guys, Melissa, Brika, Deanna. I can't tell who else. There's a couple people I'm seeing whose names I don't see on Facebook. So I love y'all too. And I will see you probably in the next day or two. We might use this for tomorrow's Transformation Tuesday, or maybe I'll come back and tell you about some more plot twists. All right. I love you guys. I'll see you soon. Keep your head up and your heart out.